Hi folks, you're with Tacitus Today. Tacitus Today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio, radio, no pictures live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast as you're driving along in your car, your truck, or put in those earbuds as you're on public transport. Sit back and take it all in. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the types of warfare that are used by the globalist machine against those who have an anti-globalist opinion, or simply ask questions of the globalist program and those who attempt to implement it. And it could be pushing back against, graphic sexual LGBTQ propaganda for young kids in schools, or it could be questions about how elections are administered and candidates for office chosen, questions about two-tier policing, all those sorts of things. This is viewed as not permissible. The entire globalist program, they're attempting to normalize it, and through normalizing it, legitimize it. And of course, it's not legitimate. If you're not having free and fair elections, your power is not legitimate. If you've got two-tier policing and selective policing, your power is not legitimate. If you're having to spread outrageous propaganda in schools that bears no resemblance to fact or reality, then again, you're not legitimate. So it's this question of legitimacy that the globalists are trying to get round, and lawfare is one of the ways they use to silence other people that actually haven't committed a crime, but are speaking out against globalization and have a decent following. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're like Tommy Robinson in UK or anybody who's not fully on board with the globalist program. They've got ways of getting at you, but it requires the corruption of the apparatus of the state to do it. So let's have a little look at that, because that's, in my view, at least what's going on here. Now, there is such a vast swathe of NGOs, politically active NGOs, who have charity status. They're not charities. They're just political actors, brazen political actors, and they're being used to influence government policy and so on. I'm stunned sometimes to see how a government minister, for example, in the Western world is going to do a new policy on, I don't know, climate change, for example. And they've just outsourced the writing of that policy to a radical activist climate change NGO. The NGO is doing the work, and the staff and employees in the politician's office they just freely interchange like a conga line in between the NGOs and the politician's office. The staff in the politician's office and the staff at the NGO, they're the same. They're fully interchangeable. This is and a lot of people don't realize this is the extent of the bleeding away of the sovereignty of Western governments to the globalist cabal and the globalist machine. It's these sorts of things. So we and if you look at a lot of these policies, it looks like they're written by sociology undergraduates. They've got that tone and cadence and manner and style about them, and because most of them are. Now, the review committees, the parliamentary review committees, are equally the advisors and the clerical staff and so on at those review committees. They too are from the same NGOs. So the NGOs almost have a complete control of the process from inception and policy development right through to it turning into law. And there are various other means that the NGOs are using. Remember, people like a Tommy Robinson or anybody on deemed to be not on board with the globalist program is under constant, very intense surveillance. Every utterance they make, every post, social media post, there are people desperately, undercover people trying to get recordings of them saying this. They go and interview at a TV station, and they're told that the microphone's been switched off, and they're just having a quick chat before they leave the studio. But in fact, the mic's hot, and the journalist is being set up to ask bait and switch type questions to try and catch them off guard on a hot mic, this sort of stuff. So you're under a lot of pressure. Or a lot of surveillance rather, and hence pressure. Any of these sort of people who aren't on board with the globalist project, because the whole purpose is to take them down, embarrass them, find something they can be sued over. Now, the other way, of course, is the lawfare way, where they're being scrutinised very closely. So one word out of place. And now, in the case of, say, the UK, I'd like to see a timeline on this, but the way it appears is that an extremely activist NGO that's smiled upon with a broad, toothy grin by the Labor government in the UK, or by for that matter, the police and the law courts and so on. If someone like a Tommy Robinson makes an utterance that's they like, we can get him for that, within minutes it seems they can contact the police and say, under what authority? Hey, guess what? We're an activist NGO and we hate Western society. Can you go and arrest this guy for us? How do they do it? Do they point out that the law has been broken in some way? Is it a criminal offence? Is it some sort of civil offence? Why are the police even being contacted? And given it's a public event, then the police would be fully aware of it. So an activist group can call up the police and say, well, our interpretation of the law is this, and the law broken is this, and this is and so they can lay out the whole program. We suggest that they're certainly not an innocent bystander or just someone watching things, or they're concerned for acts of civil disobedience or anything. They are clearly very much a political player at this point. And yet they're able to make a phone call, not only to the police, but also to the upper reaches of government, as I understand it at least, and have a politicized police response, and can have someone arrested. And well, we haven't got any charge to arrest the guy over. Make one up. What can we use? Well, let's use a total, grab all. We'll just say terrorism. What terrorist is he? Active terrorism he committed? It doesn't matter. We can just invoke that. That then gives us exceptional powers of seize and detain, and that's what we want. So now this whole thing is choreographed with the NGO sector, with the police, and with the government. If you're the Attorney General or a senior politician concerned with the legal system, or administering the legal system, now, according to the pronouncements from the Attorney General's office recently, we have got nothing to do with the administration of the courts and the police. Nothing. No way. It's hands off. It's up to them. Nothing to do with us. When clearly that's not the case. They're more than happy to jump into the machinations of who gets charged and what for, and if they're going to be arbitrarily detained. So the politicization of the police, some would say, is 100%. And this comes down. So these NGOs have astonishing power. I can't call up the police, say, look, I want you to arrest that guy down the road. Why do you want me, to arrest him, Billy Bob? Oh, I don't know. I don't like the motherfucker. I wouldn't get anywhere. But these people can. He's against globalization. Bingo, done. We'll arrest him. That's it. We'll hit him with terrorism offences. So the power of these NGOs and the reach. I don't have the Attorney General's number on speed dial. And nor should any NGO that's a politically active. But we need to understand these NGOs aren't NGOs. They're actually foot soldiers for the globalists, and that needs to be understood. And that the globalists own all the Western governments, that too needs to be understood. So the two are both they're both employees of the globalists. One may be doing a tighter surveillance of target subjects, but it doesn't matter. They're globalist employees. Now, also to find a aggrieved party. So say finding an aggrieved party and then and going out and looking for one, or even touting for business. So in some cases, I've noticed human rights commissions supposedly over human rights, but they're not over human rights at all. If it's a white male's human rights being trampled on, these guys are nowhere in sight. But if it's the black lesbians' rights that are supposedly not are being, but supposedly being not fully recognised or not fully respected, then they go screaming into the breach with all resources and all moral righteousness and indignation. So the idea of these groups is, there's been a new law that restricts such and such, or we've heard that there may be black lesbians aren't allowed into straight white male bars or clubs or something. So, wow, look, this is it. It's got race, it's got gender, it's got sexuality, it's got conflict. We want to litigate that. But we've got no basis for doing it. There's no law being broken. So we have to find an aggrieved party. So they go trawling around, touting for business, looking for an aggrieved party, and say, okay, do you want to litigate over this? We'll pay for everything. We'll even pay you a salary and that could be indirectly. They won't pay the salary to the person directly. They'll just get them to be employed by the NGO down the road on the salary. So this person who's a penniless idiot is now going, hold on, you mean I can get paid all this money? I don't have to do anything. You do everything. I just have to front up the court and go at the required moment, and that's it. And I get paid lots of money, and I'm a star in the media. I get international travel. I get the whole thing. Well, too fucking right, I'll do it, they say. And so, wow, okay, we've got a litigant. So they can go to a penniless person, turn them into a litigant where there's nothing organic about it, there's nothing natural about the process at all. They've invented the litigant, invented the grievance, and then they go and pour shitloads of money into prosecuting it. They've got such power, these NGOs, again, through the government, so they can make sure they get a sympathetic judge to hear the case, and vast sums of money are spent on these litigation. Look at the litigation to go and chase Donald Trump. I mean, gee whiz, you got to find an aggrieved party and then throw millions of dollars at them, and this is viewed somehow as, I don't know, justice or something. What do you call it? It's a politicization of justice, and we need to understand that the globalists aren't getting the traction they want on implementing their program. It's taking them longer than they thought it would. It's the people just aren't buying it. They're kicking up a fuss and fighting back. And they're outraged. To the globalists, they see this as just defiance. I mean, you're defying us. We are the god. We are the one. We are the gods. You are the two-star hotel riffraff. Excuse me. And we're going to crush your defiance. Your defiance is not allowed, and we will crush you. And if we've got to engage in all sorts of trickery and treachery and deceit to do, and so we do, because we're allowed to. It's okay when we do it. So this is what's going on all across the Western world now, and this is what the censorship machine's about. If they tell lies, it's in some good cause of globalization. If anyone else, if anyone is even accurate information, doesn't care. They don't care. Any narrative or fact or talk that they don't like or obstructs or impedes in some way the globalist project is misinformation, disinformation, according to them, because it impedes or disrupts the globalist project. That is the sole measuring stick. Accuracy of information or facts or something is not relevant anymore. Does this or does it not support the globalist project? If it doesn't support the globalist project, then it's not allowed. And it's that simple. Any lie, any lie and untruth in support of the globalist project is allowed and will be supported. And they've got armies of people who will subscribe to that and will, whether it's Nina Jankowicz in the United States or what's her face here in Australia, it doesn't matter. They've got a lot of people who are completely in support of that the globalist project is sacrosanct, and anything they do in support of it is permissible. You've been with Tassos today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.